The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business. From $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm Tim Calloway. We have a very special guest for you today from the state I'm in, Florida. We have Rose Sklar from Rose and Dean Sklar Realty, Luxury Realty in Fort Lauderdale. How are you, Rose?
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to our podcast.
Yeah, it's exciting, huh? So I'm going to ask you the same thing. This is the one thing that will be across the board. I ask people. Were you the child of 5 years old tugging on your parents' pant leg saying, hey, mom, dad, how do I become a realtor? Or were you like the rest of us where we're like, I just fell into it. I don't know how I got here. What's your story on how you got into real estate, Rose?
Well, being the sixth child of a very big Irish-Italian family in New Jersey, I was not going to be a realtor at 5. I was barely noticed. I was a pretty loud child. Nobody seemed to find me, but I think that I found my calling for real estate. At a pretty young age, I was in sales since the age of about 14, working at Hickory Farms in Paramus Park. I was the top cheddar and beefsteak seller. I also worked in a bank. I was selling catering and weddings and bar mitzvahs in my early years in New Jersey before I decided to go into real estate.
Wow, that's fantastic. I used to live in Connecticut. And so when I hear, very few people will hear the name Paramus, or Paramus Park.
Yeah, sure.
And know where that is, or I just remember horse racing.
Yeah, well, shopping is really big there.
Shopping's big there, yeah.
North Jersey, yes.
Yeah, for sure. Nice area too. I kind of miss it, even though I love Florida, but kind of miss it.
No seasons here, right?
No seasons, but I'll never complain when I'm out on the beach or shopping, or whatever. I have complaints about Florida. This isn't about Florida. This is about you, but I have a few complaints about Florida, but for the most part, I don't think I'd want to be anywhere else.
I've been here for 21 years. Great place. Raised my kids here. They're both out of college now. And actually my son is now entering the business because our team motto is legacy. We're going to be passing the baton to our 26-year-old son, Cody.
I love it. That's fantastic. I always think that's really important, and building that legacy or a dynasty. Let's think big now, dynasty.
Sure. Hey, I'm from the 80s. I remember that.
There you go. Remember? Yeah. Right?
I do recall.
That's so funny. So we know how you got started now, Rose. You talked about, well, let me back up a little bit. Not so much know how you got started. Tell me, did you have a mentor at the time that pulled you into the business, or was it just like, hey, I'm just going to do it?
No, what actually happened is I graduated college with a degree in public relations and advertising at Rutgers in New Jersey. And my husband, we married young, around 25. He was the golf professional at a country club in South Jersey. So I ended up becoming the catering sales director there, and I ran weddings and bar mitzvahs, and I was really good in sales. But I wasn't being paid well enough, especially back in the 80s. So I decided to take a chance. My husband said, why don't you go get your real estate license? I can pay the bills. Let's see how you do. You're really good at selling weddings and bar mitzvahs. Yeah. Maybe you could sell houses. And guess what? Within 1 year, Rookie of the Year, Weichert Realtors in Manalapan, New Jersey. So I found my calling, and I've been doing it for 35 years.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that story. I really do. I love to hear when someone transitions and it has such success right away. It's like you were born for it, right?
Maybe.
So, for sure. So we talked about how you got started now. So let's talk about today. So the Rose and Dean Sklar team. Now, what is that? What does team mean? I mean, do you have a big team? Is it the two of you? Tell me about your team, how you got it together, and how you keep it together.
Okay, so when we first moved to South Florida in 2001 with my 2 young children, I was alone. My husband had a different job. He was in golf. And I decided to just start right up in real estate. I did well pretty quickly. And then 9/11 happened. So everybody was in a state of panic. My husband lost his job and he said, you know what, I'm going to join you in real estate. And I was not too happy about that. I said, oh, no, I don't want to work with you. But in the end, we had no choice. We had 2 young children and we did the old school traditional real estate, knocking on doors, FSBOs for sale by owners, in case people don't know the lingo, direct mail. I did some niche marketing and lo and behold, within 5 years, we were the #1 producing agents in the city of Weston, which we've maintained that title for 16 consecutive years.
Oh, wow.
Hard work and grit. That's what we do.
Yeah, that sounds like boots on the ground work there for sure, right? You don't get there by putting your feet up on the table and kicking back and enjoying the sun.
We told our children so. It's called hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So get out there and do the work and make the calls and knock on the doors and be consistent. And, you'll have results. We've done very well for ourselves. In fact, every year we do better every year.
Yeah, that's great. That's great, especially the past 2 years have been phenomenal. But even in some other markets, for as long as you've been in the industry, that's fantastic.
I've really never, we've improved every year.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk about the future a little bit. Let's put our prognostication hats on. You talked about a little bit about your son getting into the business and kind of what direction that's going. But what's on the near-term plate for your team the next 1 to 3 years? What are we looking at there, and how are you going to achieve those goals?
I've got a really big push for social media and reels. I have started my YouTube channel. I'm going to be really hitting it hard in April. I'm actually taking a YouTube course with my 26-year-old son, and I'm ready to do relevant content.
Yeah.
I believe that content is the new currency right now. And I have a lot of knowledge in my head. I just need to get it out there on the video, which is not like my favorite thing to do, but I realize that this is what we need to do to get to the next level.
Now, why is it? It's funny, not haha, but funny, ironic. I think you and I are closer in age than other people that I interview. I think we're pretty close in age. At least our kids are the same age, so I'll go with that.
Okay.
My kids go from 30 down to 22 or 20.
Wow. Oh yeah, I've got 30 and 26. So
yeah, so there you go. You said it's not your favorite thing to do, the content creation. Why is that? Is that just something, maybe it's a generational thing? Like,
I really don't think it's not the content creation. It's being in front of the camera.
No, you don't like that? You're doing great now. What are you talking about? You're in front of a camera now.
Like I told you, when I first got on, I had to get my hair done. I'm actually have Invisalign in. I'm straightening my teeth, but you want to come off. I want to come off authentic, which is the kind of person that I am. And it's not always that comfortable in front of a camera, but I realize that by the more that I do it, the more podcasts I do, the more comfortable I become. And I do have a lot of knowledge to share. And it's really just in my head. I don't really have to think about it. It's because I know it, I've done it, and I've experienced it.
Yeah, well, it's like anything else though, right, Rose? I mean, if you're going to do anything, do it well, do it right,
Right.
And so that, I think that's really where it comes from, because if I were to give you advice, because I make YouTube videos, I do a lot of this and that. Of course, I do a podcast every day. I get it, and I'm not a spring chicken, right? I'm not a young guy, and so to think that in my mid 50s that I was, I'm sitting here doing a podcast and making a go of it this way. I'm like you though, I just want to make sure everything's perfect.
Yeah. Well, I have a great quote that I love by Walt Disney. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Yeah. And I always told my kids, just begin, just start. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just start, just like I'm doing here. I'm going to get better every time. The more I do it, the better I get. Again, do I love being in front of the camera? Not really. I like to talk, but I don't like to look at myself. So the podcast part's easy. It's because I see myself right now is the problem.
Right. I just ignore myself. I'm like, that guy's a buster.
I think that's what I should be doing.
That's exactly what you should be doing.
That's probably the problem. Anyway.
The interesting thing is,
I'm not going to look at myself.
Rose, I'll tell you this, having been doing this a long time, this is actually
Yeah.
my third different podcast. And so it's been time-wise a bit. Here's what I found out is that it doesn't matter if you really like yourself,
Yeah.
because we're our own worst critic, first of all.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. So, and secondly, there's an audience for everyone. And if you don't believe me, turn on YouTube and look at some of these yahoos that put out video. And I
Right.
go, this person could net, this person's on, this person is, and I'll say all these things, and then I'll look down and go, 12
Right.
million views, 500,000 followers. Huh?
I know. I
And I'm
read a
like,
lot, I
that
podcast
is
a lot.
impossible. And it's not. It's just
Wow.
it's the law of large numbers. It's like there's a billion people out there watching.
Mhm.
You just want that little group inside your sphere or your area or in Fort
Mhm.
Lauderdale or whatever
Right.
to go, she's the one. I know a guy up here in West Palm Beach. I'm not going to mention his name because we all probably know him. He's a nut on
Yeah.
his videos on his
I think I know
YouTube
what you
channel.
mean.
Uh-huh.
I
And
probably know. I know,
he's
I
like Crazy
know, I know
Eddie.
these people in South Florida.
Yeah.
I must
Yeah.
know
I
everybody.
mean, you remember Crazy Eddie, right?
So absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Crazy
Everybody
Eddie.
knows Crazy Eddie. And I'm like, there are just a bunch of Crazy Eddies out there in real
Yeah.
estate.
Yeah, and
just
he did
going-
amazing.
Yeah, and he killed it other than his taxes, I mean, that was his that
Hey, he was
his-
related to my family. He married
Oh,
into,
get out of here.
I'm not kidding. It's a long story.
I'd love to hear that story.
Isn't that crazy?
sometime.
Yeah,
Sure.
we'll talk about that another time. Yeah, I got a lot
I
of
tell
good
people he was my
stories.
hero. I tell people that was
Yeah.
my go-to mentally as I got older. When I worked on Wall Street, I worked at Bear Stearns, which you probably know as
Yeah,
well.
sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I worked there for quite some time in real estate, in the real estate investment trust department.
Mhm.
And when I would package these and talk to people, Crazy Eddie was my
It was in
muse.
your head.
You got to understand, Bill,
Right. I know. Crazy. It sticks with you after all these years
it's
too.
with you because you know what? It worked.
Yeah. Well,
So now we both know of our fondness for Crazy Eddie.
yes.
Nobody else knows what we're talking about.
No,
But
never know.
yeah, well, they're out there. They
Hey,
know.
I knew. You knew.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Good point. You got me. Let's talk about some other things. Let's go ahead and go into Fort Lauderdale a little bit. I'm here too in this area, so I know, but for the listeners and everybody out there, let's just say, I'm up in Jersey and I'm looking to make the move, right? As
Oh, yeah.
we do, 1,000 people a day do.
Yes, they do.
Florida stole the greatness of Broward County or just Fort Lauderdale or whatever areas you cover, and tell me why I should move there.
Well, of course, we've got the beautiful weather. I'm sure half of you up there or all of you up in New Jersey, Boston, Chicago. It is cold outside. My
Right.
daughter, all she does is complain about 3-4 degrees walking the dog. That's why I moved actually. And there's so much beachfront. There's so much to do. It's like summer all the time, boating, biking, running, windsurfing, parasailing, golf, tennis, pickleball. We've got everything. And as far as new construction, there's plenty of it and the prices are pretty stable and they're not going down. As far as the news is telling you, it's really not falling in South Florida. Now, it might be different throughout the country. I don't know, but where I'm working, I just pended a $5 million house yesterday. I only had it on the market for 2 weeks. They were fighting over it.
Yeah, I wish, the what I would call doom scrollers, that's
Yeah.
a new thing, doom scrollers, right?
Yep.
And all they want to read is the bad stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now, there are only 2 or 3 cities in this state that have seen any real decline in home values.
I don't
my
see the
son-
decline.
yeah,
I don't see it.
my
There's
son
less
is-
buyers that are ready to bite though. They're kind of sitting on the fence again.
Yeah,
They're a little
yeah.
concerned, but yeah, there's creative ways to buy. We can buy down the rate today.
Yeah, all
we can
day.
get creative. Yeah.
Right. I would say when people complain, the rates, and I go, are you kidding me? Let's take a time machine right this minute, Rose. We're going to hop in and we're going to take these people that say that to 1984, 83.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go, welcome to 17% interest rate.
Right. And I was selling back at that time.
And people were buying, Rose,
Yes,
right?
they were. Yes. I get my little violin out.
Right,
Come on,
exactly.
you
I don't
know,
want to hear
take
it, man.
action. Take action. I don't want to hear it anymore.
Gosh, Tim, I could have got 3% 2 years ago. Well, okay.
Yeah. And who didn't make the offer? They're their own problem. They're their own.
Yeah, for sure.
They're their mountain. They have to get through the mountain and climb through and get to the other side.
It's a mountain of, something.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're their own roadblock. That's what they
They
do.
are.
Block themselves from the transactions, but
I'm gonna put that on your thumbnail as the
okay.
advertisement. You
Okay.
are your own roadblock, and you're gonna be pointing at them.
Yes.
Okay, so we extolled the greatness of Florida. So let me ask you this one question before we kind of start winding down a little bit. What are some of the hurdles that you go through? I mean, in my opinion, we live in a kind of a not utopia, but it's a wonderful place. That's why so many people move here. Home prices are stabilized. We got a lot of good things going on that not everybody else feels in their area is going on across the United States, including the weather. So what hurdles are you challenged with on a daily basis that if I had a magic wand that I could just come down and go, not anymore? What hurdles might those be, Rose?
I mean, the biggest hurdle right now is really the media that's
Okay.
feeding them this, garbage, that
Yeah.
everything is doom and gloom, which it is not. And what I like to do is I do a lot of work through my CRM, which is my contact management system. And I keep very up to date with Inman, and I read different real estate blogs, and I give my clientele very up to date information that is more positive rather than the negativity of the news, because that's what sells. Sensationalism sells the news.
For
I
sure.
try to give them other information so that we can make an educated decision based on lots of different factors, not just the
Right.
one and only, oh, it's a terrible market, because it's really not. I mean, I'm still selling. I'm great, start off a little slow at the end of the year, right back up, picking up listings left and right. Buyers are in from all over the country. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't see it.
Right. Yeah, I hear you for sure. Well, how would someone get in touch with you, Rose, if they did want to list or buy or maybe get into
Look
the
at my
business?
beautiful thing here, but they
see
can't
it.
see we're on the podcast.
I
So
see it. No, well, the listeners, well, tell the listeners how to get in touch with you then.
best place to find us is on our brand new website, sklarteam.com. That's my name spelled out, sklarteam.com. Everything's there for you. We've got area, a lifestyle, luxury. You could look at lots of videos. We've got information on renovations. You can meet our team. We speak multiple languages, including Spanish, French, and English among the languages, which we need down here in South Florida. So,
You know how many
and
languages?
also all my social media as well. We're all over
Okay.
the place.
We'll definitely tag that on your on the podcast as well. So people will have that available to them, Rose.
Awesome.
You know what I heard? I don't
Yeah.
know if this is true or not, Rose. I heard there was over 80 languages spoken in where we are, southeast from from Palm Beach down to Miami. 80 languages. I didn't even know there were 80 languages.
Wow.
I mean, it sounds funny. I sound stupid saying that. I didn't know there were 80 languages. But I think about it, if you really break it down, I know when I grew up and I took a geography class, I knew about the continents, and then I knew about 20 or 30 countries. And I'm like, 80 languages?
Wow. I think there's a lot of dialects, Cuban,
Yeah.
Spanish,
Yeah,
Puerto Rican
Haitian.
Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Creole. We've got everything down here,
Got a little bit of everything for sure.
Yeah.
So this will be my last question for you, Rose, and it can be a tricky one, but I'm going to let you kind of take us out. I always say you're the hit record. I'm just the DJ spinning the record, but if anybody knows what records still are, but I know we do.
I do.
For sure. We both do. Take us out with what's ever on your mind, your heart, your soul that you think people should hear about either real estate, your life, your family, whatever it might be, kind of give us a final thought.
That's a good one. All right. My final thought on life in general. Well, okay. So I'm going to go out with this. So a couple of years ago during COVID, I really took a deep dive into why I do what I do and what my purpose is in life and why I get up every morning with a smile on my face. And I like to go to work and I like to help people find their place in the world. I feel that, I'm really there for people and I like to listen to what they need and want. And this is also something that you need to do within your family, to mindfully listen to the people in your life, to listen to what their needs are, and then and help them with their problems or whatever needs they might be having. I mean, I can apply this not only to my clients, but my children and my family and friends in general. But it's been a really tough couple of years. I've excelled in business. I've done a deep dive on my personal life. And I really realized that, yes, I'm in the right career path to help people find their home. And I'm looking toward my future, which will be handing the baton to my son and continuing with content, which is what I wanted to do.
Awesome.
And I'm on my way. So, get out of your own way, remove your roadblocks and go do it, because it doesn't have to be perfect. Just begin and see what happens. There's a lesson in everything.
Hey, see what happens. I'm gonna put that on your thumbnail.
All right. You got a couple in there.
I'll write a whole dialogue on your thumbnail.
Yeah.
Rose, thanks so much. Rose Sklar, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on the program. I look forward to catching up with you the next 3, 6, 9 months, finding out how real estate's still going in Fort Lauderdale, and we'll compare notes West Palm Beach to Fort Lauderdale and see if we can't knock some more business out. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Delighted. Thank you so much.
Have a great week.
All right. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.